Welcome to the Academic Writing Amplified podcast. On this podcast, we believe that the culture of academia needs to change radically. Women and non-binary people are revolutionizing academia within institutions that were not built for us. If you're ready to reject the culture of overwork, kick guilt and overwhelm to the curb, and amplify your voice to make a real impact on your field without breaking down or burning out, you're in the right place. With our team of experienced writing coaches as co-hosts, we'll share insights and talk to inspiring guests to bring you the practical strategies, systems, and mindset shifts you need to find time to write, publish work you love, and design your career on your terms. And it all starts with writing. Let's go.
Hello again, and welcome back to the Academic Writing Amplified podcast. I'm your host, Kathy Mazak, and today we have an amazing episode for you. At least I feel like it's going to be amazing because I've been talking to a lot of our clients on our coaching calls inside of our Navigate program about this very thing. And I really wanted to do an episode that breaks down the difference between project management skills and project management tools. Okay? So this is really important because if you're trying to solve your project management problems with a new tool, you will forever be, searching for the coolest next tool. So what I mean by project management tools are just a range of software that's out there that you could use to manage your projects. So for example, if you found me on YouTube, you probably have seen my videos about Trello that I used to do back in the day. So Trello is a project management tool. Asana, there's one that I don't know if it's used anymore, but a lot of labs and big grant holders used to use Basecamp. There's the kind of new ones like ClickUp and Monday.com and all of these different kind of Notion and these different things. And all of those things I just listed are actually very, very different tools, but you may be finding yourself down an internet rabbit hole looking for some kind of tool solution that's going to help you wrangle all of the things that you have to do, right? So the reason that we often are looking for project management tools or software is that we feel overwhelmed with everything that's on our plate, right? You have a task list, however you're keeping that. It might be on a piece of paper, it might be in a document, you might be using one of these tools for a task list, due dates and deadlines and things. So maybe you have a calendar for that. And none of it is really enough to make you feel like you're on top of things, right? I'll give you the punchline. Let me give you the punchline. The punchline for today is you're looking for tools to solve your project management problem, but what you really need is to build your project management skills. Okay, that's the bottom line today. So today I'm going to break down for you what are project management skills versus tools. I'm also going to talk about workflow. I'm going to talk about task management. Because at the end of the day, if you really are at a place where a project management tool will solve your problem, then you have to be able to match the tool to your existing project management skills and systems and priorities and way of doing things. So you have to, if you're looking for a tool, you need to ask yourself the question, what do I want my project management system to do for me? That's how you're going to get a good tool match. But I think that maybe after you listen to the podcast today, you're going to realize that actually you're not quite ready to answer that question because you don't have the project management skills developed enough yet to answer the question. You don't know what you need because you haven't worked on your project management skills enough to know what you really need. And so what happens there is you try a tool and it works for some amount of time. It's fun in the beginning and you're putting your tasks in there and you're using it and it's sending you notifications and it's helping you. But eventually, like the newness and the funness wears off, and the same underlying project management problems are not solved. But what you think is that, oh, this tool didn't work out for me, or I can't maintain the tool. But that's not what's really going on. What's really going on is that you don't have sufficiently robust project management skills yet to warrant a tool or to make a tool useful. Okay. And that's not any judgment. That is just like, here's where your problem really is and really could be. It's here where you can continue to develop your project management skills. That's what's going to solve your problem. So let me dig in today to what are project management skills then. And I always want to make sure that I don't go through a whole podcast without saying the word writing or publishing, because that's what we're here about. And I'll say that I think, as you might be able to guess, that one of the best ways to develop your project management skills is to start with your writing project management skills. Okay, to start with writing projects, build your systems and everything there. And then those same skills that you learn in order to manage your writing projects, you are going to be able to use for any kind of project, for managing grant projects and for managing curricular redesigns and any other kinds of projects that you will do in academia. Okay. So what are project management skills? All right. I have a list here of about 6. I'm sure there are more. These are the ones that I think are the most important for academics. So see how this sounds to you. So the number one most important project management skill for academics is discernment. Okay. This is your ability to figure out your priorities and take action based on those priorities. All right. Discern, what should I do next? Discern what is really important rather than just urgent, right? So actually your number one project management skill is discernment. Now, how do you build that skill? Well, in our programs, we use a couple of tools. In Navigate, you would learn how to create your academic mission statement and use that to discern how to use your time, what gets in and through your pipeline, how to prioritize projects. Okay, so that the academic mission statement is a tool for doing that. And I have other podcast episodes about that. Another thing that we do that in our higher level programs we've done before is a values statement, right? So it's like, what are my articulated values? And then how can I use them to discern what to do? All right. So discernment is the number one project management skill that academics need. What I mean by that is you need to know your priorities, some tools you can use in order to develop your discernment are the academic mission statement and a values statement. There's others, but that's the starting place. Okay. So that's the first project management skill. The second project management skill for academics that's most important is time management. All right. What I mean by time management is there is time for everything I've signed up to do in my week or in my month or in my semester. There is time for that. I have delegated the time. I have allocated the time, and I've calendarized the time, and I hold boundaries around the time. Okay. So time management is that there is time for everything I've signed up to do. And that's the point of time management. The skills of time management that you need are holding boundaries, using a calendar, communicating your boundaries. Again, discernment is really important in time management, right? Like what gets onto the calendar? Like what is important enough that gets on the calendar? What gets your precious time and energy? When something new comes along that derails your time management, so you had something like a beautiful week planned out or a day planned out, and then some kind of quote unquote emergency happens, although there are no real emergencies, maybe unless you're in academic medicine, there's no real emergencies, but whatever, some emergency comes along and derails your day, you know how to get back. Like you can recover from derailments. Okay, that's another part of time management. So project management skills. Number 1, discernment. Number 2, time management. Number 3, self-knowing. Okay, self-knowing. This means the skill of self-knowing is knowing how long it takes you to do things. Knowing what your best hours of the day to dedicate to a project are, your sharpest, the hours that is quote unquote easy for you to work, or like you have flow and you have, that your attention is good. Again, self-knowing. Maybe there isn't one particular hour. Maybe it's something else for you, but you know that. So it's like self-knowing is knowing how long it takes you to do things. What is the most optimized way for you to schedule your day or your week? And the way that you develop self-knowing is through reflection, data collection, and intentional changes based on what you're doing now. So the process of self-knowing, which we teach in our programs, is about like not judging your current speed of getting projects done or getting tasks done, but rather understanding it and being able to replicate it. So how long does it take you to do tasks? Yeah, your time to task. That is a part of self-knowing. Okay, so discernment, time management, self-knowing. The fourth one, and I think I'm going to make these 5. so it's 5 is a good number. The fourth one is self-trust. Okay, so related to self-knowing, absolutely, is self-trust. And why is this important for project management? Okay, if you are always double and second guessing yourself as you make decisions, then you don't have a lot of self-trust. And it's going to be hard for you to be really good at project management because you have to trust that the decisions that you're making around the order of the projects, how long it's taking you to do them, what you can take on, your discernment, your time management, you have to trust that you are doing those things well. And that if you find you need to improve them, that you can trust yourself to find the ways to improve them. Self-knowing and self-trust go hand in hand as well, because the only reason that self-knowing is valuable is because you trust yourself that you are capable. And so you trust that what you have been doing is worth continuing to refine rather than trying to take on somebody else's way of doing things. So self-knowing, self-trust go hand in hand. Self-trust is like, no, I got here because I am dang good at this thing, of writing or publishing or researching or whatever, of being an academic. And I can trust that my instincts around things are good. My inner mentor, I can trust her or them or him, like that inner mentor person that tells you like, yes, this is the direction to go. Again, self-trust kind of undergirds a lot of this because it also definitely influences discernment. Okay, and then the 5th project management skill is systems of support and delegation. Okay, so your ability to recruit systems of support, find and use systems of support, including if you have a team or if you have, any kind of collaborative work, co-author work, that you can delegate and you can lead and you can say, okay, here's what we're doing. You're doing this part. It's due on this date. So that delegation, systems of support. So are there parts of your project management process that are better off somebody else doing them because they're better at them or because it frees your time to do the more important parts of the project or the more in your zone of genius parts of the project? So project management skills are, for academics, are discernment, time management, self-knowing, self-trust, and utilizing systems of support. Now, I don't think you have to have mastered all 5 of these skills before you look for some kind of project management tool. But I want you to understand that all of them need to be in development and you need to be aware of all of them in order to make a project management tool work for you, for it to be like worth the effort of investing time and maybe money into adopting a project management tool or piece of software or system. And I'm saying software because that's what a lot of people come to me with. It's like, well, what should I use? Monday? Should I use whatever Microsoft Office's thing is? Like what all of those kind of tools. People come asking me about them. Usually they're software tools, but they don't have to be. It could be, well, like, people are always asking me as well, like, what kind of planner do you use? What's the best planner or whatever? And it could be a paper planner. The same thing. If you don't have these 5 skills, and I would say, if you haven't really spent time on number 1 and 2, discernment and time management, then it doesn't matter. Your system doesn't matter. You're not ready for a system. Your energy is better placed working on discernment and time management. So those are project management skills. The actual project management of things happens in your brain. Okay, the tool just supports that. So when we think about project management, we have to understand that. Okay, I think I've said that part enough. All right, so I want to define or put some categories into like some different pieces of time management so that you can figure out if you're a person who has developed discernment and time management and maybe some of these other things as well, that you can help to match a tool to your current project management that you can adopt for project management. So one of the words I like to use is workflow. So what do I mean by workflow? Because different project management tools can help you make explicit your workflow and help you develop and keep using workflows. And the thing about workflows that's great is that once you have some workflows set up, you're taking a lot of decision making out of the project management process. Okay, so again, once you've developed your project management skills, it might be time to think about implementing some workflows. And again, I would do this without a specific software tool first, so that then I could match the software tool to my workflows. All right. So a workflow is how you spend your time. It is like the checkpoints along the way and the planning moments that you have built into your project management process. A workflow represents an order of events that things happen in when you're working on certain projects. A great example of this, of a workflow, right, is publishing this podcast. So I record the raw audio file, and then my podcast producer, Colette, hi Colette, takes it and moves it through a process of editing, of creating the web page where it's going to sit, of uploading the finished and edited file into our podcast platform so that it can get published on Apple Podcasts and Spotify and all of these things. While I'm talking about the podcast, the best thing you can do is recommend this podcast to other people. So that's just a note. You could also rate and review, but especially recommend it to someone. That would be really helpful. Anyway, workflow is what are those steps and who is doing each of those steps and when is each of those steps due? Okay. So think for yourself, like for example, if you work on writing projects in your lab and you have different student collaborators or you have postdocs, you have different people doing different parts of the project, knowing who does what when. Okay, like A has to happen before B. So I need A to be finished by this date so that B can then happen and then they hand it off and C happens. That's a workflow. Okay. Another way to think of a workflow is like as templatized actions, right? There's like a template for how things should go and you follow that template in your actions. So another example of a workflow would be every week on Sunday night, I take 15 minutes and I look at my next week and I identify my top 3 kind of things I need to get done in order for me to say, yes, this week was successful. I review my calendar so I know when things are happening, and it takes me 10 or 15 minutes. And then I can start Monday morning feeling like I know what's going on and I'm less reactive. Okay, so those checkpoints, right? I think that plus a Friday afternoon or Friday morning, like planning out the next week while your past week is fresh in your mind, can also be really helpful. How often do you update your task list? How often do you do a calendar check? Those kind of things are workflows. They're templatized action. And they put certain tasks in an order as well. Okay? So once you have your project management skills down, or at least to a certain level, then being able to create workflows is going to help you take decision making, like a lot of time spent decision making, out of your project management time. And it just like frees up energy for the things your brain really needs to do. And if you have some of these workflows, once you've designed some of the workflows, then you can say, oh, well, actually Trello is the best way for me to manage that workflow. So I'm going to choose that tool, or Asana or Monday or Notion or whatever. Okay? So that's what a workflow is. And then finally, I want to talk a little bit about task management, because when people are complaining that they don't have good project management, a lot of times what they're actually talking about is task management. You can think of tasks as like your to-dos, right? The things that are not, multiple tasks make up a project, and the tasks are often guiding us to get the project finished, right? So we know we have to check these things off the list in order to complete a certain project. So task management is really important for project management. However, task management is not a substitute for project management skills. Okay, because to move tasks to completion, you need discernment, you need time management, you need self-knowing, you need self-trust, and you need systems of support and ability to delegate stuff. However, task management is still something to talk about. And since many of you might be, again, you're searching for a tool for task management, what you really need is a tool for project management. And what you actually need first are your project management skills developed. Regardless, what I mean by task management, or what often people are searching for, is some way to hold their tasks and to record deadlines or due dates. Okay, so some way to hold your task and some way to record deadlines or due dates. And that will be much more helpful. So having some kind of tool to do that will be much more helpful when you have spent time on time management and self-knowing. So knowing how long it takes you to complete a task is going to help you when you're looking for some kind of tool to like hold your tasks. Again, task management, workflow, project management are all related here, and all of them are important. What I'm trying to emphasize is that a lot of times what you're feeling like, I have so many tasks, and you're looking for some way to manage tasks when you don't have good project management skills and you've never thought through workflows. So those are kind of like two areas to develop when you're kind of searching for and feeling frustration around task management, and you're trying to solve it with buying a tool or implementing a tool. You actually have to kind of back up and get more meta and develop your project management skills, think about workflows, and then it will make sense and then actually your task management may no longer be like the problem that's causing you to look for a tool. I hope that makes sense. So, multiple tasks make up a project. You have to decide how big those tasks should be. No project management tool is going to decide that for you. Project management tools are empty vessels where you put tasks and you put due dates and you assign who does what and when. And that's why the project management skills precede the adaptation of a tool. And that's also why a tool won't solve your task management problem. Project management skills will solve your task management problems. Absolutely, you can use a tool, but it won't matter as much the tool, or you will be able to optimize the benefit of the tool if you've really developed your project management skills. Okay? Does this make sense? I hope so. So, to summarize, prioritizing tasks can only happen through you. You are the one who prioritizes tasks. Estimating time to task, that's you. Deciding what size the task should be, also you. Assigning who is doing what, also you. Okay? You are looking for tools to solve your problem, but what you really need to build is your skills. All right? Of course, I would be remiss if I didn't mention that these project management skills we build inside of our Navigate program. So we are running a cohort of Navigate starting January 29th, kind of a nice New Year's cohort. It's a 12-week program. You will go a long way in developing discernment, time management, self-knowing, self-trust, and systems of support in Navigate. I would say the top 3 are the most that we work on in Navigate: discernment, time management, and self-knowing. All of those have explicit curriculum around them. And of course, the program includes coaching as well, group coaching. So you are invited to apply for our next round of Navigate. You can go to scholarsvoice.org/navigate, and you'll find the pink button at the top of the page where you can apply if applications are open. If applications are not open when you listen to this podcast, you can get on the wait list. And as soon as applications open up, we will be sending you an email about it. So I encourage you, even if you decide not to do Navigate, think about how you're going to develop discernment, time management, self-knowing, self-trust, and delegation/systems of support. Those are the places to concentrate. If you're going to read a book about something, read a book about that, because developing those skills is what's really going to help you with your time management. Don't worry so much about tool. Don't worry so much about time management or project management tools. Worry about developing your project management skills. All right? Have a wonderful day, and thank you so much, as always, for listening. If you know someone, in your lab, in your department, a colleague, a friend, somebody you went to grad school who could benefit from listening to this podcast, just send them a little message. Just send them to scholarsvoice.org/podcast, or tell them to look up Academic Writing Amplified inside of whatever their favorite podcast app is, and start listening. That is the most helpful thing you can do to support this podcast. Have a wonderful day. Bye.
Thank you so much for spending your valuable time supporting yourself and your writing by listening to this episode. If you like what you heard today, the best way to say thank you is to hop on over to Apple iTunes and write an honest review. The more reviews, the more amazing academic women and non-binary people will find this podcast. So go write one now.